This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
All right. So thank you very much for joining us here on Think Future. It's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other nowadays through Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization, what you're passionate about?
Passionate about a lot of things.
Good. It's going
Great
to
a
be a
lack
nice
of
long
focus.
show then.
Yeah. Right now, I'm primarily working on a couple of things.
hmm
I'm writing some novels, published one recently, The Maker's Heir, and
Oh, nice. What genre?
it's science fiction, but kind of literary science fiction.
Nice.
And then I released a novella that's more fantasy, and then I've got a political dystopian novel coming out soon. So
Cool.
uh,
Have you done any utopian novels or just dystopian novels?
there's always dystopia. There's never happiness in novels, right?
That's why I wonder
Think it's
whatever happened
good.
to the utopia. Has anybody actually ever written a real non-ironic utopia novel? I don't
Oh,
think
no,
that exists, does it?
I don't think so. It's worth
Yeah.
looking up. A good ChatGPT question.
Is there such thing as a utopian novel? Not because everything seems dystopian. It's like I guess is there a reason why we do this? Why we always talk about dystopian futures? Is it to make ourselves feel better, or warnings, or what do you think it might be?
I think that a lot of it, when everything goes smoothly, it's kind of boring from an entertainment perspective. When I was in college, I did uh, and my senior project was to write an animated film script based on Paradise Lost. And my film script had the same problem Paradise Lost had, is that Adam and Eve are boring, right? They don't do anything
Yeah.
because they're perfect. So there's nothing happens to them
Exactly. It's kind
until
of
the
like
end.
I remember reading that because I'm a huge Star Trek fan, you can probably tell. But when Gene Roddenberry was asked to recreate Next Generation, he wanted it to be his vision of the future where we didn't fight amongst ourselves. And everybody thought it was like super boring. So that's why
Yeah.
when he passed away, eventually like Riker and Picard got real snippy with each other, right? And there was a lot of back and forth between the cast members because at first it was kind of like, well, everybody's working together as a team, and that was just where's the conflict? Where's the interest? Nothing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's got to be tension. Donald Lamas is a writer who writes about writing. He says there needs to be tension on every page. If there's no tension, there's people just lose interest, I guess. We
Wow.
like our problems.
What does that say about us as humans, right?
Probably nothing good. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what else are you working on?
And then I spend quite a bit of time. I've got a Substack publication and there I write about. Right now, I'm writing about how to use AI to assist in the writing process without losing your ability as a writer. Um,
Wow, that sounds interesting because I think a lot of people are going too far, right? On the
yeah,
AI front. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you can. I mean, there are people trying to figure out how to use tools like Nathan or Zapier or whatever to completely automate the whole novel creation process. And I feel like kind of going back to the human aspect of it, when you do that, you lose the most important part of the story, which is the person. You know,
Right.
it's things that we struggle with that make the stories interesting. Otherwise, it's just a generic. I always call it, it's just like the B movie Netflix things that you get, right? There's no the same story, they just put it in a different location. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's how do you get your struggles, your personality, the things that you're concerned about into the story, but take advantage of the AI's ability to help you think through plot, to help you think, through the editing process, help you think through the rewriting process. So it's I think it's a good place for me to be. I think it's an important topic right now because people are trying to
So
figure out where does AI fit.
so how do you prompt it properly so it can do that? I mean, I've heard people say to it, act like this or act like that. Is that the right way to do it, or is that incorrect?
So, I mean, there's a lot to be said for using personas when you're working with the prompt. So I have like things that I do even before I get to the AI. Like I have this idea of a reader question. which is, whether it's nonfiction or fiction, the reader is always coming to the story with a question in mind. So look, for like the dystopian story I'm working on, the reader question is, if you had to choose between, exposing authoritarianism or giving in, what would you do?
Mm.
And so that kind of drives all of the prompting. And then I have a persona that I call the angry lit professor. And so, yeah, and
Pattern
so
on nobody you know, right?
right, yeah, it's not based on anybody I know, but I said like you're a famous literary professor. You're sick of reading a bunch of AI slop. Give me your worst when you review this story, and uh, it does that. It gives me its harshest criticism of everything I feed it. That
Wow.
gives me a
And that
lot better.
works?
Yeah,
That
it works
works?
really well. Unfortunately, sometimes it works too well because you think you're about done, and then you hand it to the lit professor, and he tells it it's junk, and you got to start over.
So you gotta take. So it's interesting you should say that because it's kind of like if you think about it. I mean, I think I asked ChatGPT once. I said, if you went into your database or a typical LLM, how many people contributed to the content that's in your LLM? And I think they came up with something like 100 million. So there's 100 million people contributing to this. So what you're getting when you're asking for that angry lit professor is some angry lit professor out there. It's sort of built a
That's
persona
right.
from
Or a million of
from
them, yeah.
from a million angry lit professors and built this persona, like pulling their content together and creating this persona. So if you think about it, it is kind of accurate in a way
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's the
Uh,
output of those professors.
Yeah, it does a good job of kind of having, and it takes on a personality. I mean, the original idea from the prompt came there's a tool called Novel Crafter that people use to write novels, and it's got AI integrated into it. And they created a drunk Claude prompt, which is just somebody, basically made them drunk, and now you want them to tell every, unfiltered perspective on your story. And I took that and I modified it. So, yeah, there's some
Some of
pretty
this stuff
creative stuff
sounds
out
like great fodder for like a whole new Substack. Just create a whole new Substack with like a drunk Claude doing like
That's right. Always.
riffing on things.
Yeah, and it's funny because he doesn't hold back and he's foul-mouthed and I tried making my angry lip professor not foul-mouthed, but he's not nearly as mean as I need him to be. So I just have to live with the being cussed
So
out by my AI.
yeah, yeah, you have to bring your own meanness into it.
Yes.
So would you say that overall, do you think it's a good tool for writers, or it's like it's making writers lazy?
If you use it correctly, it can be a great tool. I can get to the core of my story a lot faster.
Mhm.
I can get feedback a lot faster because if I use a human editor, which you may do at some point in the process, but the turnaround time is like I write it, I email it, they've got to read it, they've got to edit it, they've got to send it back. I mean, it can take a week to get a story turned around, and that's probably on the fast side.
Right,
Um, the AI, I can get results back in 2 minutes, and it works 24 hours a day, so I'm not waiting on anything. So that aspect of it is really helpful because it's so
right.
fast. Um,
So I'm in the middle of writing a time travel novel. So I picked up this book from a used bookstore. It was a sort of a 50s schlocky time travel novel, sort of pulp fiction sort of thing.
mhm.
And I really fell in love with the genre. I thought, oh, I got to create one of those. So I tried building one of those with the help of AI. And then I had the entire thing edited. I had the entire thing written and I uploaded it into ChatGPT and I said, "Can you help me edit this?" And it said, "Sure." And it ended up basically rewriting the entire story in a completely different direction using the same characters. And I'm like, "This is great. This was actually not a bad idea for like book two, but it is not my story at all, right?" So
Yeah,
how do you get it to like stop hallucinating and going off on different tangents, things like that?
yeah. So that's it is one of the things, especially the longer the chat goes on, the more confused the AI gets. So
Yeah,
you kind of have to keep it in snippets. So I do a few things. I use projects a lot. So ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, all of these have some. I think Perplexity calls it spaces, but the basic idea is that you have a folder and you can dump material into that folder, and then you can have the chat refer to the material in that folder to
mm,
keep it on track. So I use that a lot. I will generally write out the whole outline. So I base my plots typically on a structure called Save the Cat, which came
Oh
out of
yes,
filmmaking.
but it's like one of the top books you have to read as a writer.
Yes, yeah. So I
Absolutely.
use that. And so I will create the plot and then test it again. And I'll have the AI test it against Save the Cat. And then I'll have it create the beats, which are the pieces of the scenes. And so I'll have it verify that. So at that point now I've got a pretty solid outline, and I've got all my scenes figured out. I've got all my beats figured out, and then I'll have it do a section at a time. So
Mm,
I'll write like a scene. I'll do 3 or 4 beats, do the scene, give that to the AI, and say, edit this. And then at the end of each act, I'll give it the whole manuscript and say, okay, now review this manuscript. It's usually where it makes me go back and rewrite a huge chunk of it. Because, little piece at a time, it's fine. But then when you show it the big picture, it goes, oh, you got some issues going on here. And so then you go back and so out those two major rewrites and then the major rewrite at the end when it has the whole story to work from.
nice.
Yeah,
Have
yeah,
you
but
ever
that kind of keeps it focused. Sorry.
have you ever been tempted to say, write this scene for me?
Oh yeah, I mean, and sometimes you might do that just to kind of get the feel for how it's going to look. I mean, no scene ends up being what it starts with.
Right.
So I don't mind saying, well, show me how you would write this scene, and I've got my scene, and then now we're kind of going back and forth with it. Um, I mean, generally, just one scene goes through a dozen edits back and forth,
Mm,
um, and usually it takes. And when I'm really writing steadily, I can write 2 or 3 scenes in a day. So, I mean, there's a lot of, it's not just like you give it to it and it's done. It generally takes a few months to get through a full book.
mm. So have you is this your profession? Like have you always been a writer?
No, so I came out of the cybersecurity space and the data science space. My master's
Hmm.
is in data science, and I worked for a variety of cybersecurity startups over the last 15 years.
And what made you want to start writing?
Well, I started out as an English, well, actually started out as an art major, and then went on to get a degree in English. So I've always liked to write, and my wife kind of pushed me towards, you need to finish a book. There and finish
That's
a
the
book.
hardest part for me too.
Yeah.
I start it and then it kind of sits there for a while and then I have to put it away and then coming back to it and finishing it is just a huge feat when it actually happens. It's great.
Yeah, I've got 1,000 notebooks in a closet that I don't know what to do with them.
It's too bad you can't just scan them into ChatGPT and say, "Can you make something of this?" For...
Yeah, I probably could. I guess I could say, hey, come up with an idea based on this, but at first I got to scan them. Or take 100 pictures.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
So do you
So,
start with a, do you give it like very like heavy prompts or light prompts? Because I kind of prefer light prompts so it can surprise me and give me something interesting.
it kind of depends on which part of the process I'm in.
Right.
I mean, I guess I'm probably lean more towards heavy prompt because I've already got the outline worked out. I've already got my reader question figured out. I also have this idea of I need to know kind of what the emotional feel is that I want to generate for the story. How do I want the reader to feel at the end?
Right.
And then also what are my kind of unique capabilities that I bring in? And so all of that goes into the prompt or goes into the project instructions.
Hmm.
So it's pretty tightly boxed in when I go ahead and give it the prompt. Now I may give it a small prompt after that where I've already fed it all this other data. But I usually have quite a bit in the instructions to kind of keep it on track.
So you don't, has it ever surprised you?
Um, well, finishing up this last, so I did like a novella prequel to the novel I'm working on, which just came out. And I thought, because I've been working on it pretty steadily, and then I gave it to my angry lit professor, and it didn't go well.
Oh no.
I was like, well, wasn't what I was expecting it to say, because I thought we were on the same page all the way through this, and apparently not.
Are you sure he wasn't having a bad day? He needs to go
He
back and
might
have a
have
few
maybe,
scotches.
yeah, too many drinks that day. I don't know, but yeah. So I was surprised at how much I had to go back and redo. But it was all good advice. I mean, basically, I let my character go flat. He was too passive, and so we had to make him more active.
Ah, okay. So it was more generic advice. It didn't give you anything really specific that was surprising.
No, I mean, sometimes it comes up with ideas that I might not have thought of on my own, where I'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. I should pursue that a little bit further.
Yeah.
Uh, and then sometimes it just goes out in left field, and you're like, you have to tell it. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's go back.
It's almost like you don't know my characters at all, and
Right.
you've been
Yeah.
reading all about them all this time.
I think I have literally written, have you read the book into the chat?
And of course, it's very apologetic. Well, yes, I
Yes.
actually have the other books. I'm sorry about that. Blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah. Sorry. I got confused.
I wonder why they made them so confident. Because that's the other thing that kind of drives me crazy is how they're confident they are in their responses, even if it's a complete
Yeah.
fabrication.
Even if they completely make it up, which is,
Yeah.
uh, one of the dangers of using it. Yeah. I think part of it is because, at the end of the day, it's a business and it wants people to be encouraged to continue using it. And so
Right.
the LLMs to be complementary so that people will continue to use them and
Right.
feel
But that doesn't work for
good.
your Angular professor.
No,
Professor. You
no, I
want
don't want
it.
I want them to be mad. Yeah. Yeah, I want them to let me have it. Uh,
So, do you think you'll ever get to a point where you'll just throw in a concept and it'll generate a novel? I mean, well, you personally probably won't get there, but do you think we'll get to a point where that'll happen?
I mean, I know people who are already doing that.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, through using various tools, they can kind of make the LLM loop through and even use multiple LLMs. So like I can have ChatGPT write this section, hand it off to Claude, Claude edit it, give it back to ChatGPT.
Really?
Yeah, there's a
I
lot of
can see
people
doing
doing
that
that kind of thing.
for like a non-fiction health self-help book or something like that,
Mhm.
but I can't imagine doing that for a novel.
Yeah,
And then it would,
it's some people got some pretty advanced scripts for making that work.
wow.
Um, for me, that doesn't work because the most important part of the story is that reader question. What am I trying to get across? And I just don't feel like uh, the LLMs will get you there.
Mm,
'Cause, I mean, you think about what is an LLM, really. I mean, we think about them like they're people. Um,
yeah, exactly. Just
but
because
they're
they act
not.
like people doesn't mean they're people.
Yeah,
Like they blew through the Turing test, but what kind of test is
yeah,
that? I mean, really?
yeah. So, they train on the genres. And so with their predictive engine, they're going to predict the next best word for the average genre output. So
Right,
if you use that to generate your story, you're going to get an average story.
right.
Uh, and it's just going
Which
to
might be
keep.
good enough to set for
Yeah.
sales purposes, right? Because I mean, there's plenty of average stuff out there that sells really well,
Yeah. Well,
unfortunately.
I mean, look at the Hallmark. I
Yeah.
mean, every Hallmark movie
A
follows the
whole,
same
whole
storyline.
network of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, there is a place for that. There are some people. My wife, she's a librarian, and she calls it candy, right? There's sometimes you just want to read candy. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you just want mindless entertainment, and there's probably a place where that works. That's just not the kind of thing that I like to write. I mean, I
Yeah.
like to think a little bit more.
So you read these novels that are fully AI generated. What are they like?
Well, actually, I did one once. It's like to show people kind of the difference on my Substack. So what I did was I took the story of the Lord of the Rings and I said to the LLM, take that story and create a prompt to generate a similar story. And
Hmm.
it did. And then it generated a short story. I don't think it's like five, no, it's probably about 10,000 words. Um, I mean, it was a perfectly fine story. I mean, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it had tension and conflict and all the things you would expect. But it was boring, right?
But to you, maybe to you, it was boring because it
Yeah.
was based on something that you've already knew about. But somebody who's never come across it before, you think somebody brand new might look at it and go, "Hey, this is actually not bad."
Yeah, I think they would read it and go, well, it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wouldn't think, um, kind of like that movie Tron Ares just came out. And it's like, well, if you go into it and you watch it assuming that, you're just going to be mindlessly entertained for 2 hours, it's a perfectly good movie.
Right.
You're looking for the next Academy Award winner, that's probably not going to be it. So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, if that's all they want is to be entertained, then that kind of output may just be fine for.
Yeah.
I want to read it.
Are you finding that we're heading more in that direction, that we're losing all this meaning and all we're getting is pure entertainment with nothing behind it?
I think we do get a lot of that. Um, but I think that people want to have good stories and good entertainment, and when you find it, you know, it's well received. I think that stories like Ted Lasso, which
Oh
is
yeah.
incredibly
We
popular and a
started
great
off really
story.
strong and
Yeah,
unfortunately went.
yeah. But I mean, it was a good story. I mean, people liked it.
Yeah.
But there are so many streaming services out there now, and there's so much content that needs to be generated, and I mean, there's only so many people who can write good stories, and so I think a lot of it gets watered down just by the sheer volume of stuff that's being created right now.
Right. Is it Save the Cat where they talked about this, was it 12 different genres? Like everything like falls into these
I
12,
don't,
is it 12 genre? I forget the number.
yeah, I don't know what the exact number is, but yeah, there's the archetypes. There's
Yeah,
like
all
there's
these
only so
archetypes like the
many.
superhero story and
Yeah,
this story and that story, and everything falls into one or more of these categories,
yeah.
right?
There's only so many stories, and we just keep repeating them in variations.
Yeah. How much do you believe that?
Well, I think that's largely true.
Mm,
You know, I mean, music's that way. If you think about music, there's, how many notes are there? There aren't that many notes,
right.
right? So we have this
Exactly.
infinite number of songs that we can create from it. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not necessarily the story structure itself that decides whether or not it's going to be great. I think it's what we do with that structure that really makes it successful.
Mm. So there probably aren't any stories outside of those outside of that number. And we should like does it feel good to I guess maybe it feels better to work inside one of those archetypes because at least people are familiar with the archetype and they see the archetype and they understand the archetype. So you don't have to, create a whole new archetype with it they don't get. So it's almost
Yeah.
like sort of pitching any product. When people aren't familiar with it, there's an education phase to get them to understand it. But if you stick to the archetype, then they're like, "Oh, this is a superhero story. I know exactly how to feel
Mhm.
towards this."
Well, I think we need structure, because that kind of helps us figure out what the next step is. And those frameworks give us structure. And a lot of times we're following the frameworks and we don't even realize it,
Right.
uh, because it's just baked into kind of how we perceive society or our culture. Uh, and different cultures may have variations on those same structures as well. It's not something I've really dove that deep into. But I do think having those frameworks, that's why I use Save the Cat, right? To make sure that I'm following a framework that I know will be successful, uh, working as a story. Um, and then we were taught that even in school, every essay needs to have a introduction, 3 points, conclusion, all these structures that we have to help us make sure that we provide a coherent argument. And so I think that that's just a part of what we need as people to kind of keep everything from just wandering off the edges, I guess.
Interesting. So that works for storytelling as well. Like you can't just go out of frame and do something completely new and different because people would just get lost and
Yeah,
they wouldn't know what was going on.
yeah, I think that's the key is that people get confused. Uh, and I mean, there are people who do that. That's kind of the nature of uh, the literary genre, is that you do things that are just kind of out there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some of that
or
stuff shows up on Substack like
right,
every
yeah,
day. The
yeah, but
out there stuff.
that helps kind of move the art forward. So it's good that there are people who try that, but the first time people read it, they tend to get lost, right? Because it's
Yeah.
new and it's outside the norm, and they don't know how to deal with it.
It's like the whole like the Overton window, right? It's like if it's inside the window, people get it. But as
Yeah,
soon as it goes to the edges of the window or outside of the window, it's kind of like woo, and nobody.
yeah,
Maybe the
yeah,
author gets it, but nobody else.
right. Well, you see that in art too. I mean, like you think about Picasso when he started doing kind of his cubic things, people didn't really know what to do with it. But it laid the foundation for a lot of the graphic design that we take for granted today. Uh,
Exactly.
but somebody
And you
that
can
could,
even ask ChatGPT, do me a new Picasso.
That's right.
See, I'm gonna do that right after this and see what it comes up with. I'm curious.
Yeah.
It might be interesting. Who knows? So it's time to think like a futurist. It's year 2035. So 10 years from now, where do you think we're going to be? I mean, are we going to get to the point where it's like we think about wanting to read a novel and AI just sort of writes it for us?
Yeah. Well, I do think that there will be some of that. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but you think about
Mm,
how we keep curating things to make them more than and more personal. Like your news feed is probably very specific to your interests. The things that show up on your browser are very specific to your interest. And there is kind of a trend where I could see people saying, I want a story about such and such. And, you have the AI write it for you, and now you can sit down and read that story, and you know, it's what you were looking for. So you kind
right.
of enjoy it. I
Well, what
could see
happens to
that happen.
writers? We're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's where the human aspect of it comes in. So for those people who again want the candy, they want the Hallmark movie because it's comfortable and it's warm and makes them feel good for an hour and a half. Uh, then that's fine. But I mean, you also want meat, right? It's periodically you want to read something that's got some substance to it that makes you sit and think, that makes you kind of look at the world a little differently. And those books, I think, will still be written by people because
Mm.
the AI again is predicting, so it's going to predict to the middle road. And if you want to get off that beaten path, it's going to take a person to kind of push it in that direction.
So are we going to get to a place where authors are going to be paid a hell of a lot of money to do something human, and then AI is going to be paid just a little bit of money to do something that's just candy?
Yeah, I think so, actually. I mean, I could definitely see that happening. That and especially think of how much AI generated video like Sora 2 coming out, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
getting hard to tell. I mean, there'll be whole movies made that way.
Well, yeah, and I hear Netflix is going all in on generative AI, so they're gonna give up on every on having actors or anything like that, and they're just gonna create all series that are completely Gen AI. And I can see that. That seems like a path for them.
Yeah,
That's where they would be going.
seems a little early right now, but so I do some things where I've created videos with characters from my novel. And I've got a lot of bloopers when you tell the AI to do something, and what happens is not anywhere near. I had one where her head turned completely around like The Exorcist.
Whoa.
So, I mean, there's still going to be a lot of people involved in the process, even though they may not have actors doing as much. And I think that you'll have actors do a lot of the voice acting.
Mm,
And that was even before the AI started to really take off. I kind of saw that was going to be a time in the future, like Harrison Ford gets to where he doesn't want to jump around as much anymore, but they want to do an Indiana Jones where he's young again. Well, they can do that with AI now, right? He does the
yeah.
voice and the AI does all the physical work.
Yeah.
Uh, and we've taken dead people and put them in Star Wars movies. So I
Yeah,
can
we're gonna
see
get to the
kind of that.
point where like everybody is gonna have an avatar of themselves, like from time immemorial, and they're that like younger actors are gonna have to try to compete with these older actors that are just avatars of actors that have passed.
Yeah, well, so I think so, but the other thing is, does it democratize the acting skill?
Mm,
Like right now, part of your success as an actor is somewhat dependent on how you look.
that's right.
So,
That's
when you
why
put
I'll never be an actor. I
but
even
how,
talked to somebody on Substack who says she's a model, and I'm like, "What about me? Hey, take a look at my headshot. What do you think?" She goes,
yeah.
"I said, oh, maybe I'll do Viagra commercials or something like that. I don't know, like it's like adult diapers. Who knows?"
Oh.
But I mean, the actors themselves, so the ones who are already famous, they've got the leverage, right? They can create avatars, and they can, their estate can take it into the future. But
Mhm.
do you think there's be a point where people like us, they'll go, hey, let's take Chris's avatar and do something with it in the future? Do you think we'll get to that point?
Um, in some ways, we already are, at least I know with voices. So there's
Mm.
like 11 Labs is a voice generating
Yeah,
software.
I use them every day.
Okay,
I
yeah.
use
So
them all the time.
people make professional voice clones of their own voices there, and then when those voice clones get used, they get paid for it. Uh, so those aren't necessarily famous actors; they're just people who've gone out there and recorded their voice in a way that is demonstrative, so that people are selecting it and using it in their voiceovers.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, but then I was concerned. It's like, what happens if somebody uses my voice for something that I don't want them to use my voice for?
Right, yeah. Well, you can put some controls on it. So you can say
Oh,
these
okay.
types of subjects are insensitive and I don't allow that my voice to be used that way.
Oh, that's cool. Now I'm gonna go try it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, every time I hear myself talk, I was like, well, nobody's going to use my voice.
But you never know, right? Something out
Right.
there could be like, this is the perfect voice. This is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, we're gonna get to see. I'm kind of hoping we get to a point where the AI does all the burdensome work for us that allows the
Mhm.
rest of us to create. And instead of, because right now it seems like everything's jumbled up. It's kind of like the boring jobs get paid a lot that humans take. And then the
Mhm.
interesting jobs, the creative stuff, AI is doing it. So much prefer that be flipped. And the AI does the boring jobs that we shouldn't be doing as humans. And we get to be paid, compensated better as creatives because we're using our human brains to do this stuff.
Yeah, I think we will get there.
Mm.
Because I think in a lot of ways you're already seeing some of that. And like I get all these, I see things on Substack, I see things on LinkedIn, and you read it and you're like, well, this is just generic AI content. And I feel like I've read this 100 times.
Yeah,
And the more we become aware of that, the less we're going to want to see it.
right.
And once we get to that point where we say, okay, I've had enough of the generic stuff. Now I need real food. Um,
Enough candy. Give me
yeah,
some
yeah.
substance.
Yeah, and then I think that it will swing more towards those people that are creative and can think bigger and draw more from the human experience and put that into. And it doesn't necessarily even mean fiction, even nonfiction.
Sure.
If I can make that think like Simon Sinek with this, the why question and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Those people that can do that will be able to leverage the AI to do that more effectively, and then we will appreciate the thinking that went behind that rather than just the mechanical aspects of putting words on a page.
exactly. But I think we need more platforms like Substack that actually allow creators to monetize properly.
Yeah.
Because right
Yeah.
now we don't have a lot of those kind of platforms that actually allow them to monetize to the point where they can just do it as a full-time gig. Right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's always been like that with creators, whether it's music or art or writing or whatever. It's like we slog away and we get our stuff out there and then we get paid pennies, right? When
Right.
it should be, considering how much emotional impact we provide, it should be the opposite, right? I
Yeah.
mean, pushing numbers around in a spreadsheet should be worth zero, but it's worth $100,000. And doing a track that moves you emotionally is like 3 cents. So it's our economic model is messed up and it needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would love to see us see. I mean, we put so much emphasis on the science and technology, and we kind of let the humanities aspect of it go away. But there's so much that people use humanities for, they don't even realize it. Like if your phone was ugly, you probably wouldn't buy it.
That's right.
Somebody went to graphic art class and figured out how to make your phone beautiful.
That's right. Design is super important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Well, I'm on Substack at gregwolford.substack.com. That's probably where I am most often. And then I also have gregwolford.com, but that's mostly just a one-page place where you can sign up to my newsletter if you want to sign up for the newsletter.
Sounds good. So I'll put the links in the show notes so people can go
All
direct. So
right.
thank you so much.
Thank
Great talking
you.
with you.
All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.